Welcome to the Goalbusters Expert Peak Productivity Tips podcast, where top business experts get just 7 minutes to answer 5 rapid-fire questions about what they do and how they stay productive. Each episode is packed with actionable insights to help boost your efficiency and achieve your goals. Let's dive in and unlock the secrets to peak performance.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Robin J. Emden, and I'm an accountability coach and author of Get Resultsology, the science of getting stuff done. I work with people who run their own business. No boss, distractions everywhere, and never enough hours in the day. Together, we cut through the noise, sharpen their focus, and follow through on the big ideas that actually move the needle. That's what I call the momentum formula. Do it today, profit tomorrow, and repeat. So if that sounds like the kind of breakthrough that you are looking for, then you're in exactly the right place. And speaking of being in exactly the right place, I am delighted to welcome our guest expert today, Megan Dougherty. Megan is the co-founder of One Stone Creative and author of Podcasting for Business: How to Create a Show That Makes a Bottom Line Difference for Your Company. As a digital marketing strategist with a background in online business development, Megan has had the opportunity over the years to work with hundreds of business owners in a huge variety of industries. One Stone Creative specializes in limited release, practically done for you podcast seasons and ongoing audio and video shows for expert business owners. So I am on my very best behavior today because we're in the hands of our expert. Megan, welcome to Goalbusters.
Oh, Robin, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Whereabouts in the world are you, Megan?
So I live in Western Quebec in Canada, beautiful foothill region, lovely part of the world.
It is a lovely part of the world, and I'm very thrilled to see that you have a Canadian aspidestra behind you, which I haven't seen one of those on a camera before, not since the Victorian era, I think I was saying earlier.
I do love my plants.
That's fantastic. Listen, I'm waffling on. Shall we do the questions instead to shut me up?
Let's do the questions.
Okay, let's get the clock up on the screen. And there it goes. Megan, could you tell me, please, who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client, who I love to work with the most, is going to be an entrepreneur, business owner who runs their own small firm or practice. Either they're working alone and they've got a team of maybe 5, maybe 6, 7 people that they've been working with to deliver basically professional services. So legal, finance, HR, PR, marketing, business consulting. Those are the people that we really love to work with. And if we're really kind of sending out the wish list to the universe, it's people who've been doing some kind of content marketing for a couple of years. So they've got an idea about the rigors of an ongoing production schedule.
Yes, I certainly got that idea loud and clear. With
You know what I'm
yes.
talking about.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. So, okay, so what exactly is the problem or problems that you solve?
So the biggest one is that, well, podcasting is very, very popular, and kind of it feels like everybody's got a podcast right now. It can be really difficult for a business owner to, one, make it an efficient and effective part of their workflow, but even more importantly, figure out whether or not it's working. So that's the biggest problem we solve is my podcast, well, should I have a podcast? Is my podcast valuable? And how do I measure how much value it's actually bringing to my business? And that's kind of at the heart of everything that we do.
Yeah. Critical point you make there. Absolutely critical. Yeah. So what is one valuable free action that the audience can implement that will help them to solve that problem or go some way towards solving it for themselves?
Definitely. And so the problem being, is a podcast going to be valuable, or is my current podcast valuable? The first thing that you need to do, and the free thing that you can do, is figure out what is value to me in my business. And so that's going to be different for different businesses. It might be the relationships that you're building. It might be bottom line revenue. It might be content. It might be time that you're able to save or time that you're able to get back. But the most important thing to do if you're considering or currently podcasting is figuring out what is the value of the podcast. And then within the podcast, what creates that value? And am I actually doing enough of that to make it worth my while?
Yeah, brilliant. Can I don't do it physically because I go all blurry, but can you feel me leaning in as I listen to every word you're saying?
And I love it.
Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of what you do, let's dive in. Only a little bit better. You can't cover a lot in 2 or 3 minutes, but let's dive briefly into goal busting, which is focusing on how to maximize productive time to achieve business goals. Could you share any tips or advice for someone looking to improve their productivity habits?
Well, my advice is going to be geared around podcasting because that's like my very focused area of expertise. And it's after you figured out kind of what is the most important thing that my podcast is doing for my business. The best way to be productive with your podcast is to ruthlessly cut everything that is not actually contributing to the value that it's generating. So if you have a podcast, for an example, that's really focused on relationships, it's the best thing that the podcast does for you is connect you with other people in your space, potential clients, potential partners. Those are the most important things. So you know what? Who cares if it never gets more than 200 downloads an episode? The real audience is the guest. You want to focus all of your energy on making them feel great, on building that relationship, on giving them assets that make them feel good. But who really cares if you're posting about it on like social media, on Instagram 4 or 5 times? Because the value is in the relationship. So you do everything for that and save your time on all of the rest because it doesn't matter.
Yes, that's a fascinating answer, actually. And someone the other day said to me, "Oh, you changed your background. Oh, that background you've got there now, it really sucks." And I'm like, I don't care.
Who cares?
Why should I care? And I actually, my other background that I had, I don't like. I when I use green screen, my hat starts disappearing, and it's very, for people watching it on YouTube, it's very distracting. I get distracted by it, so I try not to use green screen all the time, and so I don't use green screen for this. And they were like, I said the screen that I had, which was just a white screen, collapsed. And I had this screen, and they're like, "Yeah, but it just looks really bad." And I said, "It doesn't look really bad. How dare you?" And I don't care. And they actually sent
exactly the principle.
Yeah, they sent me an email about 2 days later and said, "I was a bit harsh there, wasn't I?" I said, "Yes, you were." Anyway, I digress. But yes, absolutely. I love what you're saying. Completely resonates for me. And I hope, and I'm sure it will resonate for our listeners too. So one final question, which is, what should I have asked you today, Megan, that I didn't? And your answer, please.
I think something that's really important for people to be thinking about, especially if they're in there's the period of time in an entrepreneur's life before they start podcasting where they are what I call pod curious, and they're thinking about it and they're not sure if it's going to work or not. And so something that I think is really important to do, because the ultimate destruction of productivity is taking on a giant time intensive, resource intensive project that's going to go nowhere, right? That's not efficient. That's not getting goals. That's not getting things done. So I think it's figuring out, kind of as I spoke about earlier, what do I actually need for the business to be successful? Because we're business owners. You know, we're not passion podcasters. We're not doing this for the love of the game. We're not doing this probably even as a business in and of itself. We're doing this to support a business that already exists. What does that business need to be successful? Can a podcast help us achieve that? If the answer is yes, okay, then you've got a reasonable expectation that this is going to be a valuable use of your time and your resources. If what you need is not something that a podcast can do, then maybe you should be doing lives. Maybe you should write a book. Maybe you should, be blogging. But you've really got to think about, what does your business need to be successful, and do the content marketing activities that fit with that, rather than just have a podcast because everyone else has a podcast. So I think that's a really important point, and it can kind of get lost when it does feel like, every other lawyer has a podcast or every other brand consultant has a podcast. I need one too. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. And it's really important to make that a considered decision.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just, in the few seconds we've got left, I'll just say one of the unexpected bonuses I get from this podcast, which I really love, I consider it now a big motivator for me, is that I mean, we've done next week. We will. I've recorded more, but we will be broadcasting our 100th episode, and I get to meet so many cool people, present company obviously included.
Yeah.
And I learn so much for free. That's the best thing. I get it for free. I mean, they don't give me the crown jewels, of course not. But some of the stuff I pick up is like, ooh, that was really helpful. Thank you. And of course, I'm sharing it with my audience, which is a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
And well, you know what you should do for episode 100 is reach out to every guest that you've had on the show and say, hey, we're celebrating episode 100. Here's the episode. And maybe see if you can get a little extra sharing juice on that.
Oh, Thank you. You see, that's you can go now. I'm not going to bother with the rest because
I'm done.
I've got my money.
Yeah,
I've got my money's worth out of you now. No, I haven't. Seriously, I still have one more question. I always ask at this point. Thank you for everything you've shared so far today. But the most important thing that I want to ask you now is how can our listeners and viewers reach you? That's part A, and part B. Is there like a valuable free resource they can get from you as well? And I always say, partly because you guys like the word cheeky, and it is a cheeky question, but it is a cheeky question, but it isn't really, because it makes a serious point. Not everybody's ready to make contact. They might feel a little bit unsure about the services you offer. They might just be a bit reticent about making contact yet, but they do want to find out more about what you do and your offer. And so I think these valuable resources, free resources, are a superb way of doing that.
Perfect. And I've got one that I absolutely love to share. And it's called Will a Podcast Work for Your Business? And it's going to help. It's going to walk you through exactly what we've talked about, kind of using our methodologies and frameworks to determine whether or not a podcast is something that is going to potentially be valuable to you. So you can find that at podcastingforbusiness.com/work.
That's brilliant.
Oh, and
Thank
that's also
so
where
much.
you'll get in touch with me. Any contact form on that website goes right to my inbox. So if you do want to reach out, you're more than welcome to.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And I'm not quite going to let you go yet because I know you've got a book, and I love books. Would you like to tell us about your book, please?
Yes, as you kindly mentioned in my intro, it's called Podcasting for Business: How to Create a Show That Makes a Bottom Line Difference for Your Company. And when I was set out to write it, it was published last year. Well, I self-published it last year. I wanted to create the textbook for profitable podcasting. And so it outlines in excruciating detail how to determine your goals for your podcast, optimize for those specific goals, and then track your results. So it is podcasting for nerds.
Okay, so my brother hates detail. He's like, does it work? Okay, how do I use it? Me, I love excruciating detail. I'm going straight onto, where's it on? Is it Amazon? I'm going to get my own copy.
And you'll also find it on, it's all at podcastingforbusiness.com. So that's where everything is going to be found.
Yes, I'm an absolute excruciating detail animal eater. I love it. So, and that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Megan Dougherty, it's been a real pleasure and a joy. I've learned so much, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you for having me, Robin. It's been a lovely.
You're very welcome. And remember, everybody, keep goal busting and make your future self proud. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Goalbusters. If you're enjoying it, please subscribe, rate and review it on your favourite podcast platform. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you're ready to boost your online profits, skyrocket your productivity, crush procrastination, and see a positive change in your bank balance, all within just 30 days, this is your opportunity. Take my free 5-day challenge at www.skyrocketyourproductivitychallenge.com.